It's right here. And yeah, welcome to my thoughts and review of animes that I grew up watching. Now, I don't know if I'm going to date myself here, but when I was living abroad, okay, in Asia, in the Philippines, there was this TV program called Animex. And for those that, basically watch cartoons or find ways to watch cartoons that are not from the US, chances are you go across Animex or any other channel that actually supports that. But, in the Philippines, we pretty much had Animex to watch our anime because we don't have Toonami. And instead, we get to watch anime pretty much 24/7 with Animex being our program abroad. And pretty much that's the difference because here in the US, yeah, there is no Animex. But there was this one anime that really captured me, really was something that I was into, but also I just didn't realize. But also it gave me this persona or just this attitude from it. There was other animes that sort of like gave me that drive that, in my heart, like Paradise Kiss, like Nana, like Loveless, like all these beautiful animes that I grew up watching. And even though, yes, of course, it's usually animes that I tends to really, come towards to is very, feminine kind of animes here and there. Especially like, pretty much like the only non feminine kind of animes that I kind of watch with Sonic X and I believe like what is it? The Shaman King? God, remember Shaman King? And also Shampoo. God, what is it? I forget the full name. It's Shampoo something. And of course Boondocks. But yeah, this is kind of just one of those animes where it's like, wow, that I watched and that I saw. And there was this like scene where, and I was already familiar with just the layout of, Maria Sama or Maria Watches Over Us. And I believe I watched a good amount of season one, which is this season that I'm reviewing. But there was something surrounding either season two or three or some special because there's other versions of Maria Sama that I grew up watching that actually had this scene where the sister Sachiko and Yumi being the little one, as you can see here in the picture, like she was like Sachiko was being taken away from Maria or Yumi. I mean, sorry, but I don't know why. I really don't. And there's probably some other aspects that I remember from it, like this like festival where there's a bunch of dudes surrounding this girls' school, which is kind of creepy. But yeah, yeah, here I am talking about this particular anime, and it's because that I there was this other anime that surrounds like just that aspect. I forget what it's called, but it really kind of sets the aspect both based on like a girls' school, and also I was always into that, especially as a kid when I was into like Strawberry Panic and all that other stuff. You can tell like what my taste was during that time before I discovered like how I'm not straight. I was definitely into this style anime, and especially how it centers. Like for the whole time, I always keep thinking because I was weirded out when I first heard that this anime was a Yuri, and I literally thought it was. I didn't know it was a girls' love anime, and especially how it has like religious aspects to it. But at the same time, as I try to give you my words, because this is like zero in depth like how I discovered the artist or yeah, none of that. Okay, this is just me talking about what I seen through this anime and what I enjoyed about it because it has some nostalgia concepts when it comes down to where I first saw this anime. Because the first time me saw it was definitely not, recently as I finished it, which was like last night. And it was like the moments when I was living abroad and seeing this off on our television that's so different from here in the US. So, as I give you an in-depth of like, my thoughts about the anime, keep in mind this is usually just stuff of nostalgia, stuff like I remember, but stuff it's like also in my at least in my perspective, because a lot of times, yes, of course, surprise, I'm a dude. And I can't really understand the sense of sisterhood, but I always been inspired of that for the longest time because a lot of times, even when I was a kid, I never really liked. being a dude. Now, this could be in the same kind of like conversation narrative of just the whole idea of like trans and people within my community being the LGBT plus community. And a lot of times we just we there's this common thing within my community, especially for me being bi and just queer, that a lot of times we are usually just never our own gender. A lot, there's times where I don't really think I am a man. A lot of times I wish I was a woman, but there's times where, I'm thankful of being a man, but it goes like, vice versa here and there. And it mixes up in a certain ways where the way I look at men is sometimes I wish I was a woman, and mostly just that romantic concept, but also just the understanding, just the heartfeltness in me. That like, that princess in me that is like, man, I wish I could have that. And pretty much when watching this anime, it kind of filters just like my needs of just like sisterhood from what I'm seeing, just how they interact and how they have each other's backs, but also just the concept of like mentorship from sisterhoods, like seeing Sachiko being there for Yumi and seeing like the other characters being within the younger ones. And I don't know what kind of weird concept that, this like school is trying to set up, like, because there's this concept of like bride or yours or just like what a date or something like that. And I guess that's where the concept of Yuri comes from. But man, it's what I only see from it is the gentleness, the soft spoken kind of vibe, this Catholic vibe from it, where it's just like normal girls just, being just doing their thing and just dealing with ever what they have to deal with. But you're looking into their lens of just like how their life is, especially in a very conservative, like, school or just a Catholic school where they're kind of have to be behave and just that whole like stereotype concept. I never, as much as because I'd been to a religious school, but it was never that strict to the point where it's like a Catholic school. I never really been to a Catholic or whatever strict school that you ever name. I think only abroad that I actually can get an idea of it, because I know what it's like to wear a uniform. I know what it's like to be in a place where we all have to act the same, or at least that's what I feel like. We have to act our own roles and stuff like that, because I studied abroad before. And pretty much it is like my ways of just like trying to see within the eyes of like what these sisters are going through. Now, overall, the anime is pretty, at least for me, it's peaceful. I watch through the episodes and I keep watching more because I'm trying to find that scene that I remember. And for the most part, I enjoyed a lot of like, what it gives. It surely does give a vibe of like, yep, this was the olden times. This was back in '04, and I can definitely see that through this anime for sure. But there was never no magic concept. There was never like any, because it's not a magical anime. It's a slice of life. Girls love school anime type of deal where it's kind of like a lot of times it makes me think like it's like I don't know if it's supporting this fantasy of an all girls Catholic school of them falling in love, because a lot of animes tend to fall into certain tastes where what people are into. But what I see in the anime is sisterhood, just mentorship, just being there, and also just having, but I never seen the girls love aspect of it. And since I do read a lot of LGBT plus kind of stuff out there, this is more different than anything else, because this is having that religious factor within something that I usually seen outside of that, which is there's a lot, because a lot of it that I've seen when it comes to LGBT plus content is usually not from Japan. It's mostly from Western countries. It's usually from European countries or in America, very liberal kind of like style, like aspects of it. But when it comes down to this, it is bringing this different like aspect to it, and it kind of makes me think about like what is it with an old boys school of just like, would it be something that is something that I could relate to, other than this, that this is surrounding like an all girls school that is pretty much like you like they still try to discover themselves. They still get mixed messages of just like each other, especially Yumi being young and just still being mentored, but also Sachiko being young as well and not understanding that Yumi is busy and pretty much like don't understand like how you don't like me or something like that, and can feel jealous, and that tends to get to her to the point where she starts yelling at Yumi. And there's different aspects of it, and I try not to spoil it. I feel like you should check it out. And this is a start, a beginning of me checking out the rest of Maria-sama, or this series. There's a bunch of seasons later. And I kind of want to see more of it. There's like a bunch of characters that are mysterious, that they're beautiful, but they're also mysterious. Like there's something that is like underneath them, underneath their skin, that makes them a bit more complex than they have to be. And because of just how it showcased that slice of life, it is a very interesting watch from my perspective of like how can this be portrayed within the girl's love, or just like in this drama, because there's some dramas in here that is an aspect of who they are as a person, and it's almost like a coming of age because they start to learn a bit more as they grow up. We see a little bit of like childhood from them. We see a little, like, we don't see a lot of like any of their families or anything at all. You only see the brother of Yumi, and that's pretty much it. But you kind of also, like, in the beginning of the episode, I like how they pretty much portray like men just like not being like as they used to, because like, the whole time I'm just like, men are just as beautiful as like the women are. And pretty much this man just, I don't know what line he crossed, but he got a smack of from Sachiko. That's just a piece of like how conservative these ladies are be when it comes down to their own sisterhood or just womanhood in general. At least that's the way I see it. Some people might see it in different ways, but I guess I'm giving you a my review, or quick review, because there's a bunch of other stuff that I need to do later. That for this anime is pretty much as well as I expected, but it has a bit more than, like what I ever expect, because there's a lot of unexpected moments through this anime where I'm like, wow, that it went there, but also moments where I'm like, this could have gone this way in many cases. So other than that, yeah, this was a pretty much a good season. I really enjoyed it. I recommend checking it out if you're into that at all, especially when it comes to this very pure cottagecore kind of like, just this vibe that it gives, in a sense where it's like the light is shining, but it kind of reminds, like, the moment that the song comes in, the moment that the angelic choir or humans or something like that comes in, I'm just like, oh man, this is definitely something I remember back in 04 and 05 in some animes or some properties where it's like centered that kind of light that it try to gives. Other than that, thank you guys for watching. Pretty much this is just my thoughts of this whole particular anime. There's probably some more details. I don't really see a lot of reviews surrounding this, and I kind of wish I did. I kind of wish I had, like, because there's some people that say they don't like it, and there's some people that say they do like it. And a lot of times, as me, as not being the best reviewer, because a lot of times I tend to look at stuff for my own reasons and I never understand others. That's why I tend to put other movies that suck that I'm like, yeah, I kind of enjoyed this. And there's like reviews like, no, this sucks. This is trash. This is garbage. What the frick is this story? It's so wokey woke. And I'm just like, what did I miss? what? Maybe I'm just bad at paying attention. Okay. Maybe that's why my grades are, just failing. But other than that, yeah, thank you for watching my rambles and my review of Maria-sama Season 1. Season 2 coming soon. Peace. One love. God bless.